Well, we are recording this on Thanksgiving. Back here with another episode of All 22. Co-host Fred Curtis with the other co-host Kelly Dawsey. I imagine you all might be mentioning, listening to this maybe the day after Thanksgiving or a little bit later. So let us be the last to wish you a wonderful and happy Thanksgiving. Don't wish you well at all on Black Friday or any of these hyper consumer holidays. But but do your thing. Kelly, happy Thanksgiving, bro.
Yeah, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. I'm ready to eat. Hey, man, I literally just got done working out 30 minutes ago. So
You already got the work in.
I've earned whatever food I'm gonna eat later. And we're doing, just for the record, we're doing like I say West Indies, but my wife's parents are from Trinidad. So.
Oh, well, that's what
But
everything.
I'm gonna just blend. I'm gonna just say West Indies.
Yeah. Well, see, that's always what my family has always done. Cause it's from Panama, so we have like the American stuff, a little fried.
Yeah. You gotta have the mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese. You got the yams.
Yeah. So we got mac and cheese yams, but we got some oxtails.
Oxtail, the rice and peas.
Yeah. So
jerk, some plantain.
Wow.
Yeah, you out here, bro.
So yeah, hey, West Indies Thanksgiving.
Hey.
Was way better than American Thanksgiving.
Hey, amen. It's the only way to go. The only way to go. Hope y'all get some oxtail in y'all life today.
Oh yeah.
Evermore, even though they're like $28 a
or
something like, man, them things
like
crazy.
It's the same as chicken wings. Chicken wings used to be cheap. They found out everybody likes chicken wings.
Right.
So increase the price. Oxtails used to be like garbage food.
That's real.
Like, oh, these are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, man, it's ridiculous.
It's like gentrification of food.
Hey, supply and demand. It's
exactly
gentrification, literally.
Oh man. Anyway, yeah, man. Hope y'all eat good. Have a happy Thanksgiving for those who, maybe aren't as fortunate to be around family and whatnot. We wish you all the best. Thinking about you on this day. One quick highlight, man. If y'all like the show, and I'd like to think that if you're listening to it, you do. Go ahead and drop by our website, www.relentless.love. We got books on there, merchandise, a shop that you can go to, check some stuff out, purchase it, and it's the best way to help support us. So be about your support for small businesses, and go ahead and cop some stuff from over there. Today, quick rundown, and we're gonna look ahead to week 12. It's week 12 already, which is just crazy. Like the first like half of this pandemic went by slow as I don't know what. And then once Labor Day came, we just looked up and it was like, oh, and the year's about to be over, which I can't say I'm upset about. 2020 can forever stay in the review. Anyway, we'll look ahead to week 12. Interesting matchups. We're going to talk about who wins the NFC least. Somebody from that division honestly has to make the playoffs, which
have to, man. It's crazy.
I think there's a point where like Goodell steps in, like when you could legitimately have a division winner here who only has 5 wins.
Yeah.
Like
at most they're gonna have 6.
At most. Like you gotta do something, bro. Anyway, we'll get into that and then play a tough game of who's in and who's out. The AFC playoff picture is something to behold. So we'll dive into that and provide some analysis down the stretch on what we expect to get in and get out. So first thing we'll dive into though is a little bit of a recap from last week. We actually talked about this on the show, not at length, but in pretty good detail. Today's slate, you might be listening to this Friday, so but regardless, the Ravens Steelers were supposed to play Thursday at 8:00. That game has been pushed to Sunday at 1:15 because of just an inordinate amount of positive virus cases. Baltimore lost last week to Tennessee in overtime, a game that was just kind of rough to watch. Well, if you're a Titans fan, I guess it wasn't rough to watch.
I have one obnoxious Titan fan as a friend. And I can't say anything because they have their number. I can't say anything. That's what's making me mad. It makes me even more mad because I don't have any comeback.
Yeah, those are the worst.
Those are the worst. I have nothing to say.
Yeah, and we had talked about this. There's just some legitimate concerns and Baltimore, and a few playoff teams who started the season, on fire, sort of on gung ho, have some concerns they need to address down the stretch if they really have any sort of shot of making a deep playoff run, let alone get into the Super Bowl.
Literally, my bad, but
No,
top to bottom, um, like every team, like you said, every team has a concern. Even look, the Pittsburgh Steelers are undefeated. I don't want to say, I'm not gonna get into like the worst undefeated team because I don't think they're the worst undefeated team, but we're praising that defense is pretty good.
defense is fine.
But that defense gives up some yards on the ground. All right.
Yeah.
The Ravens ran for 200 on them, which still blows my mind why they didn't keep running the ball. Even with Lamar Jackson's turnovers, they could have won that game. Anyway, but Big Ben isn't exactly that offense isn't exactly lighting it up.
No.
Like I think they're middle in the road as far as yardage. All right. They have some solid receivers. But they're still not lighting it up. They're not lighting it up on the ground as well. So you have Kansas City. That defense has regressed from the second half of last season. The second half of last season, they came on pretty strong, which translated to the Super Bowl. Buffalo Bills, they're ranked, they're third in the AFC. And, they just lost a heartbreaker to Arizona. Josh Allen's pretty good. But, in certain situations, they can't run the ball.
Yeah.
So, and that's just the AFC. And I can get into the NFC, but all these playoff teams, no matter what their record is, they still have legitimate concerns going into the postseason. And the Ravens their concerns are being highlighted now because they've lost 4 games already.
Right.
They had these same concerns last year.
Right. I mean, they were there. They were we saw them in the playoffs.
They just kept finding ways to win games. We talked about this last week, how, they lost their 3 tight end package. So there's not enough, disguising and things like that. I was watching, I think, Get Up. Dan Orlovsky and Ryan Clark were saying the offense is just slow.
No playmakers. We talked about this.
Well, no, just how they operate. Everything is slow. Even like the motions, there's no jet motion where there's misdirection like it was last year. It's completely different. I don't understand how. So, yeah, all these teams have legitimate concerns, and it's really about. And this is why I'm kind of bullish on the Ravens, even though I'm kind of being a homer, but kind of not. Their schedule sets up well, but if they can reel off some wins, get some momentum, it's all about who's hot going into the playoffs. Just getting the dance.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, more than any other year, I think is you just got to get in. And I'm actually, well, number one, I think like last year when they lost the divisional game, there was a lot of talk of, Ravens and everyone else was just overconfident, just knew they were going to win the Super Bowl. And that's revisionist history. Did anybody expect them to lose to Tennessee? There were some folks. I didn't know, just be straight up. I thought they would beat Tennessee. But there was never a Chiefs-Ravens AFC title game was always a toss-up. As good as Baltimore was last year, everybody expected that to be an AFC championship game, but no one with any decent sort of football knowledge or understanding was like, the Ravens going to beat the Chiefs. Like, no, that was always flip a coin. Are they going to be able to get pressure on Pat Mahomes? Can they score with him? So on and so forth, because they had already lost to Kansas City earlier in the year. Granted, the game was a little bit closer to the final score. But I'm a little bit more bullish on them this year as well. You mentioned the schedule, and everybody talks about how they just steamrolled people last year. And historically, they did, have a very large point differential. But they played a variety of close games last year. They beat Pittsburgh in overtime. The first game against Cincinnati, I think they won by 1 touchdown, or 1 score rather. San Francisco, just late in the season, 3-point game. Buffalo, late in the season, 1 score game. And then they played the Jets and the Browns. So, of course, you're going to blow them out.
They found ways to win.
Right.
And these games that they're losing are still close. They're just going the other way right now.
I mean, last year they played, I think it was 6 games decided by 1 score or less. That's about on par with how many games you expect to be decided by 1 score or less each year. So, like you said, right now, they're just not finding ways to win. And, I say this over and over again. When you lose 2 all-pro offensive linemen, it's going to be hard to run the football. It's going to be hard to run your normal offense. And I think that's been a huge problem. And like they don't have, if Pat Mahomes, for example, loses 2 offensive linemen, maybe they just probably, implement some no tempo, some fast pace, some shorter routes, maybe cut off some of the more deep stuff. Hey, we got weapons. Let's just get Tyreek and Sammy and Travis, whoever else in some space. They've got ways to adjust to that because they have weapons. Losing Marshall Yonder, Ronnie Stanley doesn't really allow that. So Yonder left in the offseason. Okay, cool. But when you lose Stanley a few weeks ago, it's like, I mean, that's a big part of what you do. You don't just lose an all-pro player. It doesn't matter where it is on the field, except maybe punter. Because honestly, you're not going to lose an all-pro kicker and just keep beating it either. But you don't replace players that good and just keep the ball moving. And so there's also there's no way to really shake up personnel at this point. And they don't have personnel already on the offense to really compensate for the lack of just bullying they were able to do on the line of scrimmage last year. So, that really showed itself this past Sunday. And again, with all the problems, with all the, red flags they have, they should have won that game, to be honest with you.
That drives me even more crazy. They take the lead, then Tennessee gets the lead with 2 minutes, 2 something and change, because they don't want to tackle A.J. Brown. And they drive down the field with a chance, to go up again, but settle for the field goal.
Yep.
I knew right there I knew it was over.
It was a wrap.
If you give Tennessee the ball in overtime with Derrick Henry, you've been hitting him all game. He's too big, too strong. You don't have 2 of your best defensive linemen out. You were missing 3. You didn't have Judon, Calais Campbell, and you didn't have Brandon Williams.
I mean, you can't stop Derrick Henry, but I mean, those are 3 of them.
You can't.
I mean,
you can't. And plus the offensive line issues. There's Bryant. He's not going to make the difference that you need.
It's a nice story.
It is. And maybe he'll have one great game with the Ravens. And I think he will. I don't know against who. But I was looking at a stat where outside the numbers, Lamar Jackson is last, throwing as far as attempts and yardage. Doesn't even throw out there. Yeah. Because nobody gets separation.
Nobody can get open. I mean, that can only be so much of the quarterback's fault. Look, I mean, Baltimore has some glaring issues. Every team who's at the top, I put it this way, every team that would currently make the playoffs or is in the playoff fight right now obviously has some issues. I think Baltimore is the one who's cooled the most since maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. Over on the NFC side, Seattle kind of draws some parallels to Baltimore to me. And because these are things that, again, if you go back and listen to the show, they were deficiencies. They were weaknesses last year. They were, weaknesses that would be apparent in the off season. And Russell just came out, cooking on all cylinders. But if you have such a bad roster around him, there's only so much he can mask. And it's one of the reasons why, yes, even to this day, you give me a choice between Russell Wilson and Pat Mahomes, I'm taking Russ. Because Russ does finally have an elite weapon in DK Metcalf. I'll give you that. But he doesn't have the offensive line. He doesn't have the culture to play call. I mean, who do you want to call your plays? Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy or Brian Schottenheimer? Okay. So, that's a rhetorical question. But for Seattle, I picked them to get to the Super Bowl, but I think there's just something missing. And they continuously try to kind of, work little patch holes to fix things up. Okay, we went out and got, Jamal Adams. Last year we went out and got Jadeveon Clowney. But it's kind of like, it feels like there's just an inconsistency with their roster. It's like, rather than just renovating the whole house, let's just put a painting here. Let's put this, trinket we got from Home Goods here. And it's like when you're watching them, you can see I'll put you this way and I'll shut up. It's different, right? Because Sunday night, I was watching the Chiefs Raiders. Pat Mahomes gets that ball back. Kansas City is scoring a touchdown. You know it. Not just because Pat Mahomes is who he is, but because he's got some dogs who are going to get open, and their coaching staff coaches to that. When they make decisions, when they manage the clock, I honestly feel like this in the entire fourth quarter and the second quarter, as you get down those last 2 minutes, they're like, we know what we have on offense. Let's sort of manipulate our play calling to sort of go with that. Like, it seems like it's all in unison. You know this as a coach.
Yeah.
Seattle doesn't do that.
Going back to that game when the Raiders stopped them, they were up 17-14. They had a stop and they went 3 and out.
Uh-huh.
I knew right there that they're going to sneak back in because you already settled for a field goal. The next drive, they go 3 and out. This is your chance to put the foot on the gas. You go up 10, that's a 2-score game. Maybe you can withstand some of the, some of their offensive play calling and things like that, because the defense, I want to say they didn't play bad. They came up with some stops.
Yeah.
It's just, that's the offense. They're going to score 24 points at least. At least.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you hold them to 24, you have a chance. But you can't, once you get to 28, I don't know the statistics, but they're not losing that game, man.
Nah, you're not.
They're not losing that game. But I will say, whatever the Raiders are doing, other teams need to watch.
Yeah.
Because they're hitting them boys in the mouth. They're running the ball on them. Derek Carr has been playing well. The defense have been getting stops when they need to get stops. And I was so sick. I was rooting for the Raiders just because I want to see the Raiders in the playoffs. But on that touchdown pass, Abrams literally, if he stays in that zone, there's no play. I was sick when I saw it. As soon as he came up, I was like, touchdown. Bad eyes, man. He had cover 3. He was in the middle of the field. Patrick Mahomes starts to scramble. He comes up. For what? Mahomes doesn't want to run.
No.
And if he does, let him get the first down, man. Make it hard on him.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh, man. The more I think about it, and then we'll dive into some Week 12 previews, as I digest just the way this season is going with coronavirus, with the inordinate amount of injuries, it's starting to feel like this is just Kansas City, man. Like,
I want it to be something.
Me too. I don't want to see them go back to back, but
I picked the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. But how do you, I don't know how you stop that offense.
Yeah.
Like, you can get timely stops, but it's like as soon as you give an opening, like, they take advantage. As soon as they need to take advantage for something the other team did wrong, they do it.
Yeah.
And then last year, Patrick Mahomes missed 4 games with a dislocated kneecap. He came back. They lost a few games during that time. They were down against the Texans, and they were down in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
But the other team couldn't capitalize. Now you give that guy, what is this? This is year 4.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's smarter. Last year he came out with an interview, I think, on Uninterrupted. He said, I didn't know how to, I'm just figuring out how to read defenses. That's what he said this past offseason. So he's only getting better. Now, Airbnb is going to be gone this year.
Yeah.
Andy Reid's still going to be there, but, that's kind of different dynamic. You don't have 2 brains, calling the plays.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? And you're going to have to start paying some of these guys at receiver, and, some roster moves going to have to be had. So it's like one of those, hey, Kansas City might reel off 3 in a row.
Yeah.
But they better before they have to pay all these guys.
Yeah. You're going to see him start to struggle. He's going to be one of the best for the next decade, if not longer. But you can already see Gruden and Mayock know what they're doing in Vegas. The Chargers got a bad boy. And that boy was throwing bubble screens, 25% of the time. And I'm not going to lie.
We were all wrong. And now, all wrong.
But we were all wrong because Oregon never let us see that he had what he had.
True.
But they got a bad boy. They got a bad boy.
And all they need to do if they're smart, but the Chargers might be the Chargers, build their team just like the Raiders.
Yes.
The Raiders, they have the highest paid offensive line in the league.
Bro, that's
like they were missing 3 offensive linemen, I think, the first time they played Kansas City, and they still whooped them on the line of scrimmage. That's where it starts, offensive line. And they have some edge rushers. Everything else, just plug in pieces, man. They got Henry Ruggs that can stretch the field. Nelson Aguilar can stretch the field. I always love Mayock over Kuiper. Doing the draft analysis, so I knew he would be a great GM.
Yeah.
That's why we need, I don't necessarily need, but I want to see the enemy head coach in Atlanta, Louis Riddick, GM.
Oh, Super Bowl loading.
That's another combo for
yeah. Super Bowl loading if that happens. Let's look ahead to some Week 12 games real fast. So we talked about Ravens Steelers. We have to go too in depth. That game's gonna move 1:15. It's gonna be nationally televised on NBC. I don't know how pushing it back a few days changes who's available and who isn't. Like, I know if the game was tonight, Thursday, whenever you listen to it, Dobbins was going to be out, Ingram was going to be out, Williams was going to be out, Campbell was going to be out. If all those 4 guys are out, Pittsburgh's winning. So let me just say that. I still, part of me wants to pick Pittsburgh, but then there's an element of like, I do like the idea that this team has its back against the wall, that they've got this adversity. And again, through all the injuries, through all the, coronavirus stuff they're dealing with, this is still a talented roster, still one of the better teams in the NFL, regardless of what record says. The last few weeks have been some of their toughest games, right? Schedule does matter in the NFL. And Pittsburgh is 10-0. They're not going to go 16-0. Part of me wants to pick Baltimore. I actually think Baltimore might get it done. However, it does depend on if just a mix and match of some of those guys can play because the game is on Sunday, right? Again, if they're missing Ingram, Dobbins, Brandon Williams, Calais Camp, if they're missing all of those guys, they're not going to win. If you can get 2 or 3 of the 7 or 8 guys that weren't going to play Thursday to play on Sunday, I think they got a chance to get off the snide.
I think so too, but I think I got an alert earlier that said this is the 4th straight day with a positive test.
Oh my goodness.
So I don't know how the game is going to be played Sunday.
Wow.
But we will see. I'm hoping that it's just going to be rescheduled. I haven't looked at the bye weeks, and I know Pittsburgh already lost the game.
That's no more
from Tennessee, I believe, early in the season. I don't know how that's going to work, but like you said, I like the back against the wall type thing against Pittsburgh in particular, just because that's a familiar foe. John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin have a lot of games they've coached against one another. So those teams are familiar. And you get a team who everybody is off of, and everybody's high on Pittsburgh. And those players in the locker room know that. Yeah. And so, but I don't think like you said, if you don't have those key players in there, nah. Some of those players get back. In particular, somehow you get Dobbins back. Dobbins or Ingram. Hopefully Dobbins.
They need Dobbins. You got to.
Oh, I know. And you can get – the main thing is Campbell and Williams, man.
That's the big thing. If Campbell's and Williams play, Baltimore wins.
Yes, because Pittsburgh didn't beat them from running the ball early in the season. It was driving me crazy looking at the secondary and how they was lining up and stuff. Me being a secondary coach. Bro, I knew what was coming. I'm like, come on, y'all study this, man. But if Campbell and Williams play, I think they have a better shot. If all 4 of those guys are out, then nah.
Yeah, that's right.
Still, I don't think it's going to be a blowout because division rival, but I don't think they're going to win that game.
Yeah, and I don't know if either of these teams are going to blow the other out anytime soon. No. So yeah,
they'll be up by 10 in the second quarter. They can be up by 17 in the second quarter, and that game is going to be
whoever's down will come back.
6-point win. Yeah.
I mean, the Ravens could be 1-10, the Steelers could be 10-1. and the game is going to be one score.
Those dark years, after the Super Bowl,
Yeah,
they were still close games.
It was still a battle. Like, it's something
man.
about the rivalry game. That stuff means something.
Yeah.
Touch up on another few here. The Raiders are in Atlanta.
Raiders.
Okay.
I'm not even thinking about it.
Pretty simple.
I'm not picking Atlanta ever until I'm not picking Atlanta the rest of the year.
Oh man, fair enough. You don't really have a reason to.
Not doing it.
Chargers Bills. Justin Herbert. I gotta watch Herbert this week, man. Well, I wanted to because the Raiders supposed to play tonight, but
you got to, man. Like I'm telling you, I watched him for like 3 weeks straight. I don't know how he was on TV, but he was on TV for about 3 weeks straight, and I'm like, okay, when he's gonna hit that wall? When he's gonna hit that wall?
Yeah, ain't got.
There is no wall, man.
There ain't no wall. He got.
Ain't no wall. Like he already stepped into the best situation of all those rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So I knew he could be successful. It was just a matter of I didn't think. For one, no one thought if you thought he was going to be good, you didn't think this fast.
Right, yeah.
So you have Mike Williams, jump ball specialist. You have Keenan Allen. Dog. I mean, that defense was supposed to be stout. It's not. But Hunter Henry, like you already had the weapons. So.
Yeah, and the thing with the Chargers is, look, man, I'm all in on all the brothers. But you do got Anthony Lynn got to go, and this is how you know we're fair on this show. And Anthony Lynn got to go.
No, they can be like, wait, what's their record?
Bad? No, I'm just fucking pulling up. They're 3-7.
They're 3-7. I don't even have the record in front of me as far as the scores. They're 3-7.
Every game, one score or less.
Every
loss.
Every loss, and they were leading at 1 point.
Yep.
Oh, you just flipped that. That's 7-3, and
man.
You can't blame that. And like you said, we're down for the brothers. We want the brothers to succeed.
Yeah.
But you can't put that on anything but the head coach. You can't.
That is coaching. Period.
That's simply coaching, where you're leading in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And you just can't get it done.
And I hate that. Like I said, man, sue us. We root for everybody that's black, but Anthony Lynn gotta move on from that. To that end, I'm taking the Bills this Sunday.
I'm taking the Bills too.
Now, if Herbert is gonna have a week where he struggles a little bit and looks a little deer in headlights, that might be this Sunday. Because that Buffalo defense got some dogs on it. At the same time, I think he'll still look good. And the thing with that is, and we'll actually lead into the next game, we'll briefly discuss Giants Bengals, but it's different because I think everybody, if you watched Joe Burrow last year, some folks were like, oh, so 1 year. It's like, nah, man, if you watch this kid play and throw the football, this ain't no 1 year thing.
And then we won't spend a lot of time on this, but and people got to realize when you're evaluating the prospect, you're looking at the traits.
Right.
It's not all about stats. And yes, Joe Burrow had talented offensive playmakers. But look at the ball placement. Mm-hmm. Somebody has to get them the ball. It wasn't like I'm getting him on a 5-yard hitch and then Justin Jefferson is running 70 yards. Jamar Chase is taking a slant 70 yards to the house. These passes were on the money and through windows. So you knew.
It was like, oh, this guy got, and I don't remember, and they had some, granted, Chase is going to be probably top 4 pick. Justin Jefferson was a first rounder, but there were not as many moments where you were like, oh man, what a catch.
Exactly. He was just open.
Tons of times where I was like, he made that throw. Burrow was on fire.
The one in particular is the one SEC championship game against Georgia. Oh
man, that dime. Sick. That dime was. If you didn't know he had it before then, it was a wrap at that point.
If you were a hater then, man, even if you were a Georgia fan, then you're like, you know what, he got it.
This is it. This is it. My man's got it. We wish Joe a speedy recovery. They got a franchise quarterback. Period. He's gonna be. It's too early to say. I'm not gonna say he's gonna be Pat Mahomes, but I mean between Burrow and Herbert, you got two special guys, not just guys who are going to be good quarterbacks. I mean, guys who are going to be,
It
I think, elite.
sucks. It sucks because they're in two organizations who historically
Yeah.
don't do enough
Yeah.
for their team. That's what sucks.
Yeah.
Now with Cincy, I'm not mad at because they're in the same division as Baltimore. But for
Fair.
his sake,
Fair.
I hope he gets a little help. He can pull off a longer run that Andy Dalton had.
Oh, for sure.
But during that span, that's when they were spending some money.
Yeah.
They were spending some money. That defense was stout. And I think that's what they need to do, man. You get that defense ready. You got your quarterback. You got T. Higgins. Just plug in pieces, but build that O-line, build that D-line. Hey, you're in the AFC North, man. That's how you got to do
it. Yeah, they got a lot of work to still build out around the roster. And, there's no silver lining to the injury that he suffered. So, wishing him all the best and a speedy recovery. And by all accounts, he's a good, mentally tough kid. And people are like, oh, it's really severe. I think he definitely tore his ACL, MCL, but some other things. But he plays quarterback. He's not a guy that runs around and that's mobile with all the technological advancements and whatnot. Now, I think he's going to come back, incredibly, incredibly strong. But I mean, at least in Cincy's case, it's like, all right, well, we're probably going to lose out. And so they just need to go ahead and print out a card with Penny Sewell's name on it. Go ahead and print it out. Go ahead and laminate it. Just have it ready, and then
contract ready and all.
Contract. Go ahead and have them draft that up. And when your time is up, when your name is called in the draft, you just go ahead and turn. They don't need to be considering anyone else. There's no one else for them to consider drafting except Penny Sewell. Period. You have a franchise quarterback who I think is actually going to be an elite quarterback too. You got to get him an offensive line. You got to get him a left tackle, period. To that end, I think the Giants win. This
I
week.
do too. Yeah. And the Giants, man, what's crazy, I like watching the Giants because it looks like they're well coached. They just don't have enough pieces.
Yeah.
They just don't. So, yeah, I think the Giants win too.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll eat my words on this too. Like, I wasn't a fan of Joe Judge. I just didn't really believe in what. Well, I don't want to say it was Joe Judge per se. I'm skeptical of Belichick disciples in general until they prove otherwise. For example, Mike Vrabel can coach his butt off. I think anybody who had reservations about that.
I would want to play for Mike Vrabel.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what? Mike Vrabel has the mold. He reminds you of a college football coach for some reason.
Yeah.
He's like, he'll be a great college football coach. I wanted to say that, but that's kind of disrespecting him because he's the NFL.
I ain't gonna disrespect. I mean, if he decided like, hey, all right, after 10 years in Tennessee, we've reached our ceiling. I mean,
he could run a big time college football program.
Bro, he can go to Michigan and win national titles.
Yes. Like that dude can coach, man.
Yeah, man.
And everybody loves him.
Yeah, man. To that end, like I don't know if Joe Judge is gonna be Mike Vrabel, but Joe Judge can coach. I mean,
yeah.
They competed against Tampa Bay. They lost that game by 2. They lost to the Eagles a few weeks ago by 1. Like all of their games are, except for San Francisco beat them down, and then Pittsburgh beat them down the first week of the season. Like you mentioned, yeah, they're well coached. They got something that they're building. They just don't have enough talent surrounding them, especially with Saquon gone. Now, I do think there is still an element with them of, depending upon how these last few weeks go, do we hang on to Daniel Jones? Not that you go into the offseason actively saying we have to replace this guy, but they could end up
where you fall.
Exactly.
Where you fall in the draft.
Like, they probably won't be high enough to take Trevor Lawrence, but they might be high enough to take Justin Fields or Trey Lance or Zach Wilson. And, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we'll have that conversation a whole lot between now and May, but I think the Giants get it done this week, this week against Cincinnati. Let's plow into one more. Chiefs Buccaneers seems to be the what they call that, game of the week, whatever Fox.
I think it's the game of the week.
Oh, okay, yeah, whatever they try to tell us. I honestly don't think this is much of a game. I think I could be wrong. I think Kansas City beats Tampa by 2 touchdowns.
The same, because if you've been watching Tampa, I'm not even thinking about the offensive side with Tampa Bay. With the defensive side, the corners have their eyes in the backfield all game. They like to gamble. So they get beat a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And those linebackers are the best run stopping duo in the league, but they can't cover.
Nope.
So now you got Travis Kelce. All right, you got to deal with Tyreek Hill. You got to deal with Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You got to deal with all of that, and you have corners who aren't disciplined, and you have linebackers who can't cover.
It's gonna be bad.
It's not going to happen. The only way it can happen is Tom Brady puts up 35 points.
Yep.
And he has been doing that consistently. Now, whether that's chemistry, whatever the case may be, you haven't been able to do it. And yeah, I don't think it's going to be. I think it's 2 touchdowns.
They're 16th.
At least 2 scores.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, they're 16th in passing yards per game allowed, but that's with they haven't played any gang busting quarterbacks, for example. I mean, they played Teddy Bridgewater and the Panthers, Drew Lock and the Broncos. Now Justin Herbert did slice them up. They came out of that game. They lost to the Bears. I mean, Aaron Rodgers sliced them up. Derek Carr. They played well against the Raiders that week, but they're giving up. They're in the middle of the road as far as in pass defense, having not had to play too many gang busters as far as from the quarterback position. Honestly, bro, I think if they're able to show any sort of offensive firepower, them as in Tampa, Tom Brady, yeah, he could throw for 425 yards this Sunday. And all that would mean to me is that Pat Mahomes threw for 500. I mean, I'm thinking this is 42-28 Kansas City. I don't see this game being close.
I don't either. Is it on Sunday night?
425. Oh, my man, Jim Nantz and Tony Romo.
Romo, they're going.
Romo going to be calling out play.
Romo's going to have a hard time saying Tom Brady is struggling. Every announcer, and Tom Brady's the GOAT, but every announcer finds a way to not put it on Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I'm like, stop. He's the quarterback.
Yeah.
You got to find a way, dog.
It's okay. It's okay to say he's not playing well.
He's struggling. He's the greatest of all time. Cool. But it's okay that he's struggling right now.
Oh, man. Yeah, I think Kansas City is going to win the Super Bowl. Anyway. All right. NFC East. I don't think we want to spend as much time on this as we thought we were. Unfortunately, somebody has to win this division. Here's a funny thing. You don't know the point differentials for every team in this division are? Minus 34, minus 41, minus 83, minus 27. The team who, if they win today, we're recording this on Thanksgiving. If they win today, they're going to go first place. They have a minus 83 point differential. That's Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I knew it.
Defund the NFC East. Who wins this trash division, man?
Man, it's what I saved this, so I didn't want to look at the remaining schedules. I want to do it right here. All right, so you got Cowboys. Cowboys have Washington, Baltimore, the Bengals, 49ers, Eagles, Cowboys. The Giants. I think they lose today.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think Washington is a better coach football team. Cowboys have the better roster, but the better roster doesn't mean anything.
No.
I think they lose today. I think Baltimore gets them. They probably beat the Bengals and a handicapped 49ers team. So at best, they're 3-3, 2-4.
Yeah.
Let's look at the division leader, which is the Eagles. So they were smart enough to tie a game.
Yeah, man.
So it's not in the loss column. But you got the Seahawks, the Packers, the Saints, the Cardinals.
Man.
Then you end with Cowboys and Washington. You're going 0-4 the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm sorry. You're going 0-4. So you're 2-4. I'm looking at the Giants. They have the Bengals, Seattle, Cardinals, Browns, Ravens, and the Cowboys. Like literally all of these teams may very well go 2-4.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, the Eagles are going to win the division.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not even confident in this pick. I'm just going by kind of the their last 6 games, because they're all facing the same opponents, because NFC East and AFC North, are tied together. They're all facing the same opponents. Man, I think the Eagles are going to win it somehow, just because of that tie.
Oh, it's so bad. And basically all they're playing for is the right to get steamrolled by Seattle or Tampa or Arizona in the wild card game. Look, yeah, I mean, if I had my way, I would just say, look, no one can make the playoffs from this division this year. I don't much care. I think whoever wins the division gets steamrolled by 3 or more. Maybe not 3. That's exaggerating. By 10 or more points in the wild card game, but I think it's Philly, not because I like them, not because I want them to win. It's the same thing you mentioned. They got a tie. It's one less thing in the loss column.
Yeah.
So,
and think about this: like Carson Wentz has been awful.
Man, we got to talk about that later.
He's been awful. So part of me wants to ask, who's the best quarterback? Because I don't know, but I want to say Carson Wentz, even though he's been awful this year.
Bro, it might be Daniel Jones, bro.
It might be. But I'm thinking about, okay, what did we see last year? He was pretty bad at the beginning of the year. And for some way, the last 4 to 6 games, he just found a way. He found a way. So kind of history, being in that situation may help them too. And they may sneak off a win against, Arizona, or they might sneak or New Orleans because they're at home. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna take the Eagles. I'd put absolutely no money on it or faith in it, but delete the NFC, just contract the entire division, and then we got to keep watching them on like TV, like on Thanksgiving, they on Monday night. Like, man, Lord help us. Anyway, moving on to a playoff picture that is a little more, what's the word? Competitive and just talented.
Very competitive.
AFC Wildcard picture right now, again, because 7 teams make the playoffs. So we have 3 teams that are going to make the wild card in each conference right now. Tennessee, Cleveland sit at 7 and 3, seeds 5 and 6 respectively. Las Vegas wins tiebreakers right now, 6 and 4. They would be the 7th seed. And you've got Baltimore at 8 and Miami at 9. So effectively, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams competing for 3 spots. How you got this thing shaking out down the stretch?
Well, Indy and Tennessee are kind of they're actually playing for the division.
Yeah.
Or competing for the division. I think I like Indy more than I do Tennessee. And it's not because of the quarterback position. But, man, I love their defense. And when Phillip Rivers is actually on, he's on. It's just a matter of if you have a bad game out of him, you're dead.
Yeah, boy.
It's bad. So I'm looking at Tennessee's schedule. They have the Colts. All right, they have the Colts Sunday, and it's at Indy. Indy got them the first time. I actually think Indy's going to get them again. So they have the Colts, Browns, Jags, Lions, Packers, Texans. I think they go 3 and 3. I think they go 3 and 3. I think Indy wins that division. And if you're looking for, okay, now since they won that division, now you're fighting for the wild card spot. So you have Tennessee, you have Cleveland, you have Las Vegas, and you have Baltimore. I'm not even including Miami just because I think they're going 2 and 4 the rest. Their schedule is tougher than anybody else's.
Yeah.
I think they lose against the Bills, Raiders, Patriots, and the Chiefs.
I like them, but not this year. Next year for sure. But
all right, so now I'm looking at Las Vegas. I think they're in. They beat the Falcons. They beat the Jets. Toss up against the Colts. All right, they have Colts, Chargers, Dolphins, Broncos. I'm looking at 4 and 2 for them. I'm looking at 4 and 2. Baltimore, I think, have the easiest remaining schedule. All right, if they can somehow beat the Steelers, if they can get their 4 players back that we mentioned, I'm looking at 5 and 1 to cap the season off. All right, they're 6 and 4. 5 and 1 puts them at 11 and 5. They're in that, they're that 6th or 7th seed. All All right, so now you're looking at Cleveland and Tennessee. Sorry, Cleveland fans. I'm sorry, Cleveland fans, but you have Tennessee, Baltimore, and the Steelers are the games that pop out. All right. If you want to get in, you got to win one of those at least, because your other two are Jags, Giants, and Jets. All right. I'm not discounting the Giants because, like we mentioned, that team is well coached. All right. It's going to be at New York. All right. We don't know. I think Myles Garrett has been out a few weeks. You don't have that number one receiver in Odell Beckham. And the Giants are just going to keep getting better.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking at best, Cleveland ends at 3-3 in this 6-run stretch. All right. One of those losses against Baltimore. All right. Even if they tie with the same record as Baltimore, Baltimore has the tiebreaker over them because I think they're going to beat them twice and they've already beaten once. So I think Cleveland is the odd team out.
Yeah, we're not too far off, man. I mean, I went ahead and took Miami off in the same way. I think, they're coming, love what they're building, love Tua. But if you watch any part of that game on Sunday against Denver, where Tua got pulled for some hope of some late Fitz magic, you saw that there's still some things they need to work out, some kinks, some coaching, some offseason development, so on and so forth. And plus, they still got to play the Chiefs, Patriots, Raiders, and Bills. So there's that as well. So there's the element of it's a year early, and then it's like they're going to go 2-4 down the stretch. But 8-8 would be a good step forward for them. So for the other team, the other four, I agree with you. I do think the Colts win the division. I'm less bullish on this Sunday because I'm not sure if DeForest Buckner is going to play. I know he recently got put on reserve COVID list, and yes, I do think he's that bigger part of their defense. But I can see the Colts still figuring that out. So then it's down to, again, Titans, Browns, Ravens, Raiders. Actually, I'm a little bit differing with you. I think Cleveland and Baltimore finish with 11 wins. Here's the reason why for that. Not necessarily because I think Cleveland is that good. It's because I think they finished with 11 wins instead of 10, because I see a universe to where Pittsburgh knows going into that last game.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
because they're going to be the one.
They're going to be the one.
It's only one bye.
It's only one, right? And so I do think they'll know prior to that whether or not they're going to be the one with the only bye week, or whether the Chiefs are going to be able to overtake them.
Exactly, I feel you. Because Ben, if they have it locked up, Ben is not playing. They're not risking that.
Right.
And if Ben is not playing, Cleveland should win that game.
Exactly. And that's sort of my thought process there, in that, I mean, I think Kansas City wins this week. They beat Tampa. And then they've got Denver the week after, and they go at Miami the week after. The differentiating factor for me is they go to New Orleans on December 20th. I think they lose that game. And so in my mind, with them losing that game, I think that makes it easy for Pittsburgh to know, all right, we've got the 1 seed locked up. I think Pittsburgh might honestly go 15-1, to be honest.
Wait, is that Chiefs Saints game how many weeks?
It's December 20th at New Orleans.
Breeze should be back by then.
Breeze should be, exactly. And that's what I was that's what I was thinking. So yeah, I mean, it's and that's what leaves sort of a lot of stuff up in the air. And it's the reason why, when people start putting up, oh, I think this team makes it and this team makes it, like, this is why our show is so great. We dive into the specifics. Kelly just broke down the records for
Got to, man.
So but I think that can be a big portion of. So honestly, I think Baltimore gets to 11 wins. And I think they make the playoffs. I think you'll end up with Tennessee, Cleveland, and Las Vegas all at 10 wins. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know what the tiebreakers are going to be in that situation. Other people can lie to you. I'm not going to do that. But I if I had to say which of those two teams is better than the other, I would say I want Vegas, and I would say I want Tennessee. But assuming, let's play the other side, right? Assuming Pittsburgh does not know, they go into that final game. Kansas City needs to beat the Chargers in week 17 to get the 1 seed. Pittsburgh needs to beat Cleveland. Then I think Cleveland only wins 10 games. So basically, if Pittsburgh has something to play for going into week 17, I think they beat the Browns. If they don't, obviously they got a lot of old guys, especially Big Ben. They rest. Cleveland wins that game. So I'll put you this way: if Pittsburgh has it locked up by week 17, I think Cleveland makes the playoffs. If they don't, I think it's Titans, Raiders, Ravens.
Yeah, I agree with that. I go with that. But the team, out of all of those teams, 4 will be a wild card, obviously, because one of either Tennessee or Indy will be the division champ. So out of those teams, Indianapolis, Tennessee, Baltimore, Cleveland, Las Vegas, who don't teams want to see?
Oh, Vegas.
Yeah, thinking the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm not even – people like, you say that as a Baltimore fan. I'm not even worried about Derrick Henry this postseason. I'm not – especially if I'm Kansas City or especially if I'm Pittsburgh. I ain't worried about that guy. I don't want to see Vegas because that offensive line is ridiculous. Josh Jacobs, he gonna bring some wood to you as well. Yep. And then they got some dudes on the outside. Yep. Henry Ruggs is is my thing. That FU mentality when that ball is in the air. Henry Ruggs got it. Darren Waller got it. Like, good luck. They can pound you. They can move you in the line of scrimmage. And when they're ready to go deep, they got guys really who you can just throw it up. Like, oh, Ruggs down there somewhere or down the middle. All right, Darren, I'm just going to toss it up for you. Go get that thing. Every phase of the game, they've got a response to, Yep. Yeah, I don't want to play Vegas.
Yeah, I agree. And they have the quarterback, man.
Right.
Hey, Derek Carr is playing with some confidence, and yeah, man, I haven't seen him play this well. Even I can't remember what year it was, a few years back when they made the postseason, but he got hurt at the end. He's playing, in my opinion, better than he was then. He's playing with more confidence. He has a much better offensive line. Dude is stepping up in the pocket like he just doesn't care. Like, people are around him. Because the offensive line is literally building a wall for him. And then they're not one-dimensional.
Nope.
He can throw for 350, and they're going to have 120 yards rushing.
Yeah, they can do everything, man.
They can rush the passer. So I think that is the scariest wild card team. That's the one, if I wouldn't be surprised if they made it to the AFC Championship game.
Bro, I was about to say, man, like, look, if
it's the best.
I'm not picking
them. They have the best shot of beating Kansas City.
I was just about to say. I'm not picking them to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You had to ask me, which of these teams would you pick to beat Kansas City? I'm picking Vegas easily.
This is only year 3 with Mayock and Gruden. So they came in, they got rid of some players they drafted. Second year, which is they drafted this. Now they're getting who they want on offense, who they want on defense. Imagine they make the postseason. They get another offseason of, all right, this is the team we're building. We have our offensive line. Give Carr maybe a few more weapons, but let's just focus on his back end, on his defense. Because I love Arnett. I love Abrams.
Dog.
But, you always need more secondary guys. I think they need more inside linebacker help. So, yeah, man, they're building the team the right way.
I mean, I'm looking at the other teams. Obviously, the Bills are going to be in, and I like the Bills, right? But, like I said, if you gave me a pick of who do I think has the best shot of beating, including Pittsburgh, I think it's Vegas.
Including Pittsburgh, I think Bills are constructed to give the Chiefs a run for their money as well.
Yeah.
But I think the Raiders have it a little more just because their offensive line is dominant.
Yeah, man. Beast. Now, Incognito did have season-ending surgery, but still, they've got the depth there.
Exactly.
Because they got Mayock.
And Trent Brown hasn't played in – I forgot what he had going on. But when he gets back, dude, you just plugging him in, and his backup is just ready.
I'm telling you, they better hope, Vegas finishes 10-6 and loses out on some tiebreakers or whatever else it is. because that team easily they could be Tennessee 2020, get to the AFC title game, and look, like you said, if it's Chiefs Raiders AFC title game, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna instantly pick Vegas, but if the Raiders ended up going to the Super Bowl, that's not surprising. It's a division game. They know each other. They got the comfortability. They got the personnel to really come. I mean, that's what they've been building. When both of those guys showed up, like it was clear what Kansas City was building. You know, we didn't know Mahomes was going to be as great as he is, but you know, they had Andy Reid. They were applying the weapons. They've done something right there. As a little closeout, we talked about who has the best shot of beating Kansas City in the AFC. Not necessarily who we think is going to come out of the NFC, but which NFC playoff team would have the best shot of beating Kansas City in the Super Bowl? My answer pains me.
I know you're going to say a healthy Saints team.
Yeah, man.
I thought there first.
Yeah.
Because, and I don't want to say that too.
It's all right. We got to be real, bro.
A healthy Saints team, but I like the Rams, man.
Ooh.
I like the Rams. I will pick the Saints first to beat the Chiefs, or have the best chance of beating the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But I do like what the Rams are doing. Man, Sean McVay said, you know what? I'm not going to let a repeat of last year happen.
Bro, he back.
Fooled all us.
He is back.
And
Eat my words on that too.
Exactly. They have Jalen Ramsey and they have Aaron Donald. They're able to run the ball. They're able to spread the ball out. They play like the Chiefs.
Now, granted, maybe that's not one to eat words on, because like Sean McVay he wasn't bad last year, but
yeah.
You know, there was definitely a drop off, and it was a noticeable drop off, but he's done or did what great coaches do. Made adjustments. And so now he's firmly, I think, in that camp of, you know, all right, this guy, he can be in LA for 30, 35 years if he wants to. I honestly, I think, like you said, I think the Saints have the best chance. Next up, I will put the Rams. As good as Aaron Rodgers has been and still is, I couldn't see them beating Kansas City, just because Kansas City they break down a lot on they bend but don't break. And the thing about Kansas City, this is why you always need to, again, building a football team. Quarterback, protect the quarterback, find guys who will go get the other quarterback. All right. Kansas City's going to give up a crap ton of yards, but they got guys who, when you need it in the fourth quarter on 3rd and 6, they're going to get to the quarterback. Like, football is hard, but then again, it's not that hard.
It's simple, but it's hard.
And so and they got guys who could get to Aaron Rodgers. So I think we might be seeing a repeat of that Rams Saints NFC title game, and then maybe we get another pass interference call that sends the Saints home in infamy. That would be.
We might, man. But look, you're gonna have Ramsey on Michael Thomas all night.
Ooh, slant man.
Slant. You ain't cooking Ramsey on slants all night.
Oh man, that's gonna be fun. We need that. We
do.
That's a bet. All right, bro. Well, appreciate you checking in on this week's episode. Again, y'all enjoy a happy, wonderful Thanksgiving. If you're going out on Black Friday, be safe out here. I know this is America, but coronavirus is still real. For even if you act like it isn't. So wear your mask, wash your hands, don't go around your grandparents. Just basically care about other human beings, and enjoy football. We got a lot of it to watch. All right.
Yep. Yes, sir.
All right. We'll see y'all next week on 22.